I was with the team the entire year during 2022, and like he's even said it in interviews coming out of that tech series, like at the very end of the year, is like things are kind of going sideways, and then he got hot, and everybody else did. It was insane.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Well, again, thanks for joining us. I was super excited. I mean, it's football season in Oklahoma, so being down here in Austin, I'm only as informed as SoonerScoop.com can make me. So I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about what's the vibe there in Norman right now.
Extremely positive. I would say that it's like optimistically cautious, though, at the same time. I think everybody coming out of the last, 2 of the last 3 years and the way that the season's gone, and specifically the way that last year was just such a disaster offensively that, I think that like I was truly surprised, and I know that we talked about it on our podcast and a couple of the YouTube shows coming out of Atlanta, just how high everybody is on Oklahoma, because I think the people that are kind of in it and have covered it and seen it over the last couple of years, there's still certainly this like cautious, optimism that they have your attention, but are going to need to be able to see it. So it sets up a September that, I can't remember a time where, September is obviously important to kind of get on the right track, but for this team specifically to start off, 4-1 at worst, 5-0 by the time they get down to the Cotton Bowl for OU Texas, it's like it kind of means everything to the season. So everybody has that September 6th date circled with Michigan coming to town to kind of get a better idea of what they could be. And if you're able to kind of get through each little checkpoint, I think that, by the time you get down to Dallas, maybe the buzz will be a little bit more real for the people that, kind of cover it every day. So I was surprised, though. I mean, I think that like we knew that John Mateer and Jaden Ott were going to have a whole lot of hype coming out of the transfer portal, but I don't think I expected the Mateer love to be as national maybe as it has been. And, with Ott, we met him for the first time yesterday at the local media day, and he's a big kid. He's a lot bigger than I was thinking he was going to be. And, if you listen to the way that Jim Nagy talks about him and the way that some of the players talked about him yesterday, I think he's going to be one of those guys that could be explosive. It'd be awesome if he could, end up being part of one of the better backfields in the country with Mateer. So there's optimism that they could be better, certainly than what they are, and maybe surprise some people.
Love the term cautious optimism, Eddie. Where does your head football coach fall on that? Are you more cautious or optimistic with Brent Venables at the top?
Maybe a little bit of both, but I think that, like, full disclosure, it's because I want to see Brent do really well, which makes the conversation that I'm sure every Oklahoma fan has had in the text group with all of their buddies talking about, like, everybody loves Brent. And I remember coming back, going all the way back to 2021 and the way that Riley left and, that scene at the airport that night, everybody thought it was going to just be kind of an immediate success. It obviously hasn't been. And I thought that they were headed in the right direction coming out of that second year when you're able to go 10-3. You were kind of able to, I guess, in a way, explain away some of the losses, even as inexplicable as they were in Lawrence and Stillwater in those back-to-back weeks. You felt like there was some good momentum. And then last year, just with the offense and just being truly one of the worst units that Oklahoma's put on a field in the modern era of, the program, it just kind of like it was a little bit of a gut punch to a lot of people, I think, knowing that, you had put so many eggs in the basket for Jackson Arnold that it just kind of everything fell flat on its face. So I think Brent's a great football coach. I mean, when you look at what they are defensively compared to what they were when he took over, it's night and day different. But at the same time, I think that everything that goes into this season is, the magnitude of the season and, Brent's long-term future in Norman is going to be really interesting. And, you add in the angle now with Joe Castiglione and the athletic director and not necessarily having the guy that brought you in. There's so much turnover within the program with the front office and everything that's been as well that they're going to have to show some type of improvement. And, certainly 8 wins. I don't know what that number is going to be now for Brent to come back for a 5th year, but they should be pretty good defensively. And, I think the one thing that everybody, and maybe this is something that Oklahoma fans just tell themselves to make themselves feel better. Like if the offense can just be good. They don't have to be great. Maybe you can win a couple more games and put yourself into a position to surprise and maybe make a college football playoff. And if they're able to do that, I think everything kind of rolls into itself. They're able to recruit a little bit better. It seems like, just talking with some of the stuff that Josh McCuistion has reported for us on Scoop, it's like they're in on a bunch of really good guys, but I think there's a lot of people that want to see them, be able to sustain some success.
Well, and it's interesting hearing you talk about it. It brings up questions that I have, right? It's like, it felt like last season, yes, the receiver injuries got a ton of talk and press, but ultimately it was the O-line inconsistency that really, Jackson, Michael Hawkins, it didn't matter. It was hard to get the ball off. It was hard to, the running game was slow to find anything. It makes me wonder, you talk about Jaden Ott, it's like, I'm kind of intrigued by what else is in that running back room and what they show up like. What does Tatum look like in year 2? What does X look like? What are you hearing about the running back room right now other than Ott?
I think it's fascinating because when you bring in somebody like a Jaden Ott, like if he's healthy in 2024, he's probably not in Norm. He got drafted. He put his name in the NFL draft. I think he's an every down type guy. So are you going to take away some carries from the incumbents and the guys that are returning? I would think probably, but at the same time, you also kind of in the back of your brain, and this is like the real, like in the Oklahoma bubble, like type comment, like, what's DeMarco going to do? Because I think there's been questions about the running back rotation over the last couple of years and the way that he's put guys out there. So I still think that Javonte Barnes can play some football. So you're right. Like everything in most of, I would say like maybe not a majority, but at least 45% of Oklahoma's offensive problems from a year ago, when you get down to the core of it, was the offensive line and the ineptitude that they had in 21 and 20 or 20 and 21 in the recruiting ranks and the spot that they were put in. Like George Doyle and I were talking about it yesterday. He went and put all the numbers together. Heath Ozida had the most snaps a year ago, and that's because he was basically thrown into a spot where he had to play because of injuries and because they had nobody else to put in there that had experience.
The portal loss of Caden Green was gigantic.
Yeah.
We had the baddie, right? We had the guy that we could build a line around, and Mizzou obviously comes in and, offers a huge check and the whole drama there. But,
sure.
It's like that was, to me, that was like the first domino of that offense kind of starting to fall apart, and then obviously Latrell gets let go, and it's just like, okay, well, that's a sunk cost. We're done. It's all moved to this season now. But I'm excited. I like, have we coined the phrase Arbuckle Wilderness for the offense?
Ooh, I kind of like that. And that will probably catch on if they find some success early. It is exciting. Like yesterday, though, even here in Arbuckle at the press conference, at the local media day stuff, like that was kind of the first time that it's really kind of sunk in that Brent is kind of handing his tenure over to a 29-year-old that, even though has called plays at a high level, hasn't done it in the SEC, and at the same time is relatively green as just an offensive coordinator. I do like what Ott talked about yesterday, just in terms of the way that they want to use him and using him in the flat. Like you can see what the kind of the vision is, and I think that's what's kind of fun about this group is seeing it all kind of come together here over the next month.
Considering how much of a bedrock that offensive line was through all of OU's successes this century, it was strange to watch that unit not perform well. Does it feel like they've got things back on track on the offensive line, Eddie?
Maybe I'm a real sick person. I was sending out some text messages this morning, like maybe they're going to be okay up front. Like you look at the guys that they have coming back. They obviously have a ton of experience coming back because of the problems from last year. To a certain extent, you have Fabechi, you have Heath Ozida, Troy Everett, Jacob Sexton. Talking to him yesterday, he said he's the healthiest he's been in a long time going into a preseason camp. Logan Howland showed promise at the end of the year. Eddie Pierre-Louis, Daniel Akinkunmi are guys that you feel like are kind of ready to take that next step and get more playing time. And then you have that freshman group and the trio of transfers that came in and started at all three at two places that they came in from. Luke Bakalenko coming in from Stanford, Jake McKay, Luke coming in from Stanford, as well as Derek Simmons, who might end up starting at right tackle at the beginning of the season, coming in that started at Western Carolina. And then, obviously it's going to be about the development and how ready is somebody like Michael Fasusi or Ryan Foje to be able to step in as true freshmen. Yeah, I mean, that just right there, being able to talk about those guys, that it seems like they have a good two deep. I have no idea what those rotations are going to look like. Who, Bill Beatenbow is going to really kind of, run out there first, but that they're probably going to rotate those guys early, which, kind of adds into the equation of what do you do against Michigan? Are you going to be rotating offensive linemen in the second week of the season? I think that they should be better. I don't know how you could be worse. I mean, they gave up 50 sacks a year ago, and I would say of 50 sacks, like 35 to 40 of them literally were a second and a half after the ball was snapped. So there was a lot of plays last year that, basically were over as soon as Michael Hawkins or Jackson Arnold caught the ball. So I think they should be better, and that kind of goes in line with everything else on the offense. It's going to kind of go hand in hand.
Well, it also helps when you have a quarterback who has such a quick first step like Mateer. He's not the fastest guy necessarily, but he's very elusive and is very savvy with how he picks up yards with his legs. So that's certainly going to help the offensive line out at least a little bit. What's the expectation with Mateer right now? What do Sooners fans think that they're getting with this kid who has done some really good things at a couple of different college stops now?
I mean, it's hard to not think that he's going to be able to be one of those guys that steps in and kind of picks up where he left off a year ago. Obviously, the schedule and what the week-to-week opponents are going to be much tougher than what he faced at Washington State. But I do think that, and this is something that Ben Arbuckle's kind of harped on each time that we've been able to talk to him or hear from him, just the veteran presence that he's been able to have. And I think that the way that he's kind of endeared himself to his teammates and kind of taken hold of this being his team, does that amount to him being able to go compete to win a Heisman Trophy and OU compete to win a national championship? I don't know. I'd probably be a little bit surprised, to be completely honest, if they had that drastic of a turnaround. But I do think that he could be one of those guys that's probably in that top tier of SEC quarterback play. And if you get that, I think that you probably obviously win a couple more games last year. And, the narrative around the magnitude of the season, much different from what it is right now. And talking about coming off of a 6-7 season, had they gone, 8-4, 7-5 even. I think 7-5 is probably realistic if you just have better quarterback play, in the South Carolina game and the Missouri game, namely. So it's going to be fun because I can't remember a guy coming in without having really played any for OU with these types of expectations and people talking about him like a guy that could really come in and turn around an offense that was just miserable a year ago.
Switching to the quarterback of the defense, I'm interested to hear your thoughts about what that defensive leadership looks like without Stutzman and Bowman, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that one of the things last year that felt really comfortable was, Danny knew that defense intimately and the complexities, and obviously Venables has taken over as DC. I'm interested to see, it's like, our Mason Thomas and the folks that they sent to media day obviously are the mouthpieces of this defense, but I'm not hearing a ton of Kip Lewis, and I just feel like, what is Kip going to be? What does that middle of that defense look like right now, and who are the leaders that you're seeing emerge?
I don't think that you're ever going to find Kip to be the guy that they're going to put a microphone in front of, but I do think he's one of those guys that you're going to see, and especially if the defensive line is as good as people think they could be going into the season, really kind of blow up on a national scale. I mean, he's up for the Nagurski watch list, which, I think put stats out, you're probably going to be able to make it, especially at Oklahoma. They're going to have somebody in there, but he's Nagurski watch list, Butkus watch list. Just seems like he's one of those guys, and, doing video for all the games, go back and you catalog everything. He's just around the ball. He's always around the football.
I was at that Tennessee game, and there was a series where he wasn't on the field, and you could just see the intensity, and he was in Jackson's ear. Like, he is an energetic leader of that team. And so I'm always, it's like, but his name's not out there because he's not in front of a microphone. So it's like, wait a minute, Kip Lewis can play some football. Yeah. And he's going to be another season into Brent's defense. And then Brent's going to be even well, I guess more involved. I don't know I don't know where Brent's going to be, but obviously him running DC, it's like, okay, what's going to happen? I'm just excited to see what Kip can do, especially like you said, if that D line can just eat up that front, then Kip can go nuts.
Weirdly, like I don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay what they're missing with Danny, but I think from like a strength in numbers type of situation, maybe that unit could be a little bit better or more productive, probably be the best way to say it. I don't think that people will ever truly be able to like kind of get a handle on like how good Danny Statsman was. I know that everybody knows that he was really good, but you're talking about a guy that, biasly probably I think was one of the better linebackers in the country last year. Probably should have got a little bit more recognition. I know, like coming out of 2 years ago, he should have been a finalist for the Buckets Award, but he missed all those games at the end of the year because of the injury. So I love Samuel Masigo too. The thing about the linebacker group is I just don't know how deep they are, and you hope that you can avoid injury with those guys. But you also kind of in the back of your brain know that it's going to happen at some point. You're going to have to battle through injuries. So I'm really excited about that back end group and to kind of see guys like a Reggie Powers or a Michael Boganowski, Jaden Hardy, guys that are going to kind of be linked together for the rest of their careers, come together and kind of see how good they can be, because I think there's some people that think that they could be extremely good when it's all said and done.
So you mentioned Jim Nagy a little bit earlier. There's been a lot of talk amongst Longhorn fans that the dynamic has shifted significantly in terms of who's calling the shots with Oklahoma football right now. So what is the dynamic between Nagy and Venables, and whatever that shift, whatever that changes, is that actually a good thing for the state of the program?
I mean, to be just brutally honest, I think it's much like a lot of people. You can be on either side of the argument, because I think it's very much a work in progress to see how this thing comes together. I think as of now, there hasn't been too many like power struggles going against one another, but kind of never really know until I guess in a bad way, until shit hits the fan, right? Like I think that everything looks good on paper and everybody's kind of working together and cooperating, and we're going to see how these recruiting classes come together in 27, which is kind of becoming a massive year for Oklahoma, especially in state, because of the talent that they have here in the state of Oklahoma. They have to find some success and then marry that on the recruiting trail. And I think that the way that they've been able to put together the roster is going to be kind of fascinating. Just a little bit of a case study in terms of what they're trying to do. It's probably not going to be able to have a real ultimate decision on that, at the end of this season, because it's going to be such a small sample size. They're trying to kind of build what they're doing right now in the process of it, kind of in the beginning stages of laying the foundation, if you will. So that question is the same question I think that Oklahoma fans are asking themselves. Is this going to be the right way to go about this whole new world that is college football or college athletics as a whole? So, even like all the way down, like I know we're talking about football, but I think like the athletic director hire is going to be fascinating, what they do there. Because I think that could see an angle that they go in a different direction and not even hire somebody that has historically worked in college athletics. So it's kind of fascinating right now. And, they're going all in on one way. And it's going to be kind of fun to see, or I guess terrifying on the other side of it, of how it all comes together.
I was going to say, down here in Austin, I've been here for 20 plus years. All you see is like, it's like, it's good to be king. There's just like, all the money to fix, not to fix the problems, but, it's like, so again, these hires still feel like traditional Oklahoma hires, right? Where it's like, you kind of have to find diamonds in the rough. You kind of have to exceed maybe what you've done. You've got to find people on the way up that are, that make the right calls about what the future of this athletic program is going to look like. Castiglione was amazing. But at the time, he had a great track record, but what he grew into was phenomenal. It's like, we've got to make another hire like that can really navigate college athletics in its new era, which apparently, we still aren't going to get any, what happened this morning, Trey, with the NCAA? And it's like,
they're so exhausting.
Oh, God. The CSC is supposed to replace the NCAA. They've already had to walk back. The whole NIL collectives aren't going to be able to give money to the athletes. It's like, congratulations for neutering yourself. We may have just kept the NCAA and as worthless as they were because this new entity isn't going to be any better.
No, it's just a disaster. I mean, for somebody that loves college football, and I'm sure that both of you are kind of the same boat, that like I get it. Like I at first, 10 years ago, would have said it's kind of stupid, the idea of paying players. I've slowly kind of transitioned to the idea of, okay, NIL, I get it. Probably they need their due at some point, and it's just like that go-between of just being able to get the people in charge to step through the door, and at the same time probably have the student athletes give back a little bit. And they're probably not going to want to do that, but if they could just, the contract issue and making them, employees, it would make a lot more sense. I think it would calm everything down, but it seems like that's pretty far long ways down the road. It doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon. And
yeah, there's definitely going to be a legal fight there, Eddie.
Sure.
And it all boils down to schools not wanting to be on the hook for long-term disability, which matters less than the other sports. But the most violent sport, the most popular sport, the biggest money-making sport, that is a big deal.
Yeah.
But we are hearing college people starting to talk about athletes as employees. So maybe that's going to be sooner rather than later. I don't know. I just cringe to hear you say that OU may go in the direction of somebody who doesn't necessarily have a ton of college experience in the past, because I've watched these conferences. Pac-12 is a great example. George Kliavkoff came from more of an entertainment background, was completely out of his element, was trying to power play in situations where he had no business doing so, ultimately gets backstabbed by the Big Ten, which purges his most valuable properties. And that conference is now, well, they're not dead necessarily, but it's a shell of itself, with Texas State becoming the latest member institution to join a few weeks back. Are you hearing any names right now in terms of who might replace Joe as AD at OU?
No, not at all. And, to be completely honest, I don't know how much of, they announced that search committee. I think it's a 12-member team that's led by Randall Stevenson. I know that they've, put that together, but to say that we've been able to confirm, like, have they met? Have they started going through names or vetting names to even gauge interest, which I'm sure is going to be extremely high because it is still a really good job, that I don't know. And I think that they have probably a timeline they haven't put out there or, publicly talked about of when they would hope to get something done. I think that 3-4 years ago when Zach Selman left, I think that everybody kind of thought, okay, he's going to go do his thing in Mississippi State. And when Joe C decides to be done, that's like the automatic, okay, when you want to move back type of deal. And I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the situation. I don't know. I don't know what they're kind of looking for in an athletic director. So it's going to be fascinating. Covering OU right now is really just, I don't know. It's kind of fun. And I think, I guess terrifying would be the right way to say it. Also.
Well, if it's not, I was saying we should make a run at Sam Presti. I mean, obviously one of the best executives.
I don't know if the Thunder would allow that.
I know, but fresh off the parade, it's like, he's a genius. Let's get him in Norman. We can he can I wish Tisdale was still around. Him and Presti could do some jazz at the deli. It would be great.
Sure. I'm sure that they would let him come out on a Wednesday night or something for a big red.
But Bradford's on the committee, which is good. So we'll make sure that whoever the AD is, he can at least golf his own ball around the course. Bradford can make sure his handicap is where it needs to be. So
listen, I think that's all Sam does nowadays is that and raise 4 kids. So his handicap is definitely. In I think it's probably a plus right now. He's doing well.
Yeah, no, I had a buddy here in Austin that made the USAM 4-ball.
Oh yeah,
and
him and
was
Ben
out there with
Sam.
Yeah, they were out there with Sam, and he was like, Sam was great. He was like, and he was really, my buddy Goose was super proud because he was like, oh yeah, we played a little game. I took a bunch of money off him, and I was like, he's got plenty of money to get. Yeah. Good for you.
Nobody's missing a meal in the Bradford household because he lost a couple of dollars out of the course.
I know, but I was going to say, it's like what an athlete! What an athlete! I mean, other than yourself, I mean, probably the best PC North athlete of all time, Heisman Trophy winner, great golfer. So
yeah, he's definitely up there. And I mean, I think that growing up with Sam, one of the things that and I'm sure people have read the stories before, but he was awesome at everything. anything that he did. He was baseball. He probably could have played at an extremely high level if he would have gone, after 8th grade. Basketball, he was fantastic. I think, I remember back to when he was in high school, there was always, kind of the question, are you going to go play basketball in college or are you going to play football? And so it was cool. That was like one of the more unique experiences being in school and, knowing him at the time he was at OU and everything that, kind of went in. I remember the day he committed to OU, he called me after they got done with the coaches, and it's still kind of surreal to a certain extent.
Well, and speaking of Rhino, like Bradford, kind of on an OU side, reminds me a lot of Sandberg. Right, he was just super consistent, such a good person, like never too high, never too low. Just like, again, just he's a good golfer because it's like nothing rattled him. He just went out and played the game the right way. So. It's like I said, he'll help us find the right AD.
Yeah, I think so. It's and I just kind of interested to see which direction they go. Like, what direction do they feel like college athletics is going, and what would be best for the program or the university? So it's exciting, I guess we'll say.
I feel like at the end of the day, and this is something that Castiglione was exceptional at, Chris Del Conte, for all of his great qualities as the Texas AD, this is his most important quality too. It's all about understanding who you're hiring and making really good hires. You're allowed the occasional bad hire. Well, maybe not too many in football. Sure. But you got a whole lot more good hires than bad hires. At the end of the day, I don't care what your background is. You need to understand the people that you're bringing in, that you're surrounding yourself with, because their successes or failures will make you a success or failure.
Well, and I think that, using just Texas as an example, like they're the perfect example of a program that money's never been truly an issue. You got to get the right people in place, like you're saying. And I think that, to a certain extent, and OU fans probably don't want to hear this, but like I think that's kind of what's so respectable about what Steve Sarkisian's been able to do is it is very real. It is the way that he runs a program and putting things together. It's you can throw money at it and just hope that it gets better. But if you don't have the right people in place around you, like a Chris Del Conte, and being able to kind of let Sark do what he needs to do within the program, that you're not able to dig yourself out of the hole that they had dug over the last decade. So it's been super impressive. And, I think ultimately, whether OU fans, it's better for them online, I'm sure, when Texas isn't doing well. But I think at the same time, when Texas does have the success that they've had over the last couple of years, it wakes everybody else up in Norman to kind of keep together. I've said it before, but it's, I think to a certain extent, like Oklahoma and their struggles over the last couple of years is a product, or they've been kind of a victim of their own success, because over the last 2 decades, really, they were able to show up and they were the king in the Big 12. And outside of when Texas would compete with them, or a Kansas State or somebody had a really good year, the level of success that they've had, they didn't have to change a whole lot because they were having that success. And then you got to the bowl games and you kind of saw the ripple effects of what they weren't doing and being able to get over that hump. So, they kind of let it hit rock bottom before they were able to dig themselves up.
Yeah. Having been there on campus in 2000 and then, just watching and being a fan, it was like, that was the story, right? It was like, oh man, we're not getting pushed in the trenches. We're not getting pushed schematically. And then you find an LSU or you get a Clemson, and you're just like, oh yeah, we don't have it. We don't have what it takes to win in the postseason right now. And nor did we have the brisket or anything else to attract people, but now we do. So, speaking of food, Eddie, this is called the Austin Supper Club. I'm in the restaurant business here in Austin.
I love it.
Trey and I talk every week about, some of our favorite places to eat. For somebody like myself or any other college football fan that may be coming up to the Norman OKC area for the Michigan game, what are some of your restaurants, Rex, in OKC or Norman? Any hot spots that you really like?
Super biased. I think Oklahoma City has a great food scene right now. Birdie's up in like North Oklahoma City. Like, you're going to drive, if you're in Oklahoma City, even like downtown area, if you're staying down there, It's probably about a 20-minute drive, but worth it. I think it's one of the best restaurants in Oklahoma City right now. Full disclosure, do have some buddies that run the place and operate it, but I do think it's fantastic.
I follow them online. They're great. We have a Birdies here too, which is kind of ironic. Yeah, and it's great. It's got a James Beard Award or whatever, and so it's like hopefully they don't get into a cease and desist battle between each other. There can be two great Birdies restaurants, one in Oklahoma, one in Austin.
It's fantastic.
But I've seen online looks really pro.
What type of food is it, Eddie?
It's like a Korean steakhouse, I think is technically how it would be described. But their menu, I've never had something on their menu that wasn't like, oh, damn, that's really, really good. It's just a unique kind of take on Korean barbecue, but they have the Wagyu beef, steaks that are just unbelievable. All their appetizers, it's like a family style restaurant too. So like anything that you get, you share with the table. It's incredible. Like the mbappe, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yep.
Like this rice that cooks in this bowl when they bring it to the table. You put beef and chicken and
kimchi
whatever you want
and
the kimchi pancake is incredible.
Bibimbap?
So what?
Bibimbap?
Bibimbap, yes. I think that's kind of what it's basically amounts to. It's incredible. They're opening another restaurant. It's not open yet. I think they're looking at maybe late October in the Drake building on 23rd, if you're familiar with Oklahoma City area. Those places are really good. Just up the street from the Drake or what used to be the 23rd Street there. I think Frida's unbelievable. Great brunch, unbelievable dinner. I don't even know how to describe it. You can look it up. It's Frida, Frida, there in Oklahoma City. And then, I think the steakhouses are really good. Mahogany in downtown Oklahoma City. They have one up in, I think, the Edmond area or North Oklahoma City off of Memorial. It's your generic steakhouse, but I think it's really good. It's one of my favorites. And then they have the Ranch in Norman. That's a really good steakhouse as well. It just opened, I think, I want to say maybe 3-4 years ago now. Really good. And I'm a big Ray's barbecue guy in Norman. So Darryl Ray, former Oklahoma football player, played in the NFL for a little bit, came back, opened up a couple of barbecue spots here in central Oklahoma that are really good.
From being in Austin now for 20 years, I look back and I see the growth of Oklahoma City, Norman, and it makes me proud. We've come a long way. We've got a lot of good stuff to try now. It's a much more vibrant, like you say, it's a big league city.
Absolutely. Flycatcher and Arbolada, best burgers in Oklahoma City, for my money as well.
Hey, so Eddie, I would definitely be remiss not to ask you, considering that this is being broadcast on ESPN in Austin, about your hot Arch Manning take that is making its way around social media today.
Of course.
That is that at some point in the season, some Texas fans are going to be calling for Arch Manning to lose his starting gig. Now, the nuance of what you said is that you would completely disagree with that take for whatever reason.
Nobody listened to that part.
I know. That's because we only like the headline part of something. That's
that was the brilliance, Eddie. That was the brilliance of the take.
But what was your point with that, Eddie?
That college football fans are crazy and they asked me for a bold take, and it's going to happen. They could win the game. They could win a game 49-3. There's going to be somebody out there that's like, well, if he would have done this, maybe he's just not ready. That's all I was saying. I think Arch is going to be really good. And I think, certainly having to replace what Texas does, I do think that there are going to be some growing pains up front on the offensive line. I think any program in the country goes through that when you graduate the amount of guys that Texas did, and then having to just gel with new wide receivers. But at the same time, I do think that Steve Sarkisian is a really good offensive coach. They're going to be fine. They're going to be competing. But I knew that Texas fans would, certainly feel some way about that.
Well, look, and here you said this about the Oklahoma offense, that they just need to be decent this year and they will be able to win some games as a result. The Texas offense early in the season, they don't need to be world beaters. They need to be decent to good, let's say. They need to be good in the Ohio State game probably, but that Texas defense has the chance to be an elite unit once again this year, possibly better than last year, so that the offense can just hold its weight. The defense is going to go a long ways in helping this team to secure victories. certainly after Ohio State, because it's a pretty cupcake schedule until you travel to Gainesville for Florida, and who knows what Florida's going to be
Believe
by
me,
then.
I know about the Texas schedule when you look at it compared to Oklahoma.
Yeah, SEC did not do you guys any favors the first couple of years. That Florida game could be a difficult one, but DJ Lagway is already dealing with injury issues, so who knows? Billy Napier could be squarely on the hot seat by then. But the Texas offense will have a chance to get its legs underneath them from that Ohio State game all the way to Florida or even the Oklahoma game the week after.
Yeah, and I think that, if you can just get through those games, it's more about like the one thing that I think everybody maybe kind of learned, and I'm sure Texas fans kind of learned this as well going through the SEC schedule, is just the gauntlet every week. And, I think that we probably all kind of used to laugh at the idea of, this mighty SEC, and it is just different. Like just being down on the field and going to Auburn even, or going to Ole Miss, like just looking at the players, just from a physicality standpoint, it's a different league, and you got to be ready every week or you can get bit. And, I think that like it is a little bit weird going into this year, and just talking to some of the people in Atlanta at SEC Media Day, there's a lot of questions about like, what is the SEC this year? I think that you have that top tier of teams with Texas and Georgia, and maybe LSU starting to push into that group with Nussmeier coming back. But I think everything else, like looking at the SEC preseason poll, it's like you could have put anybody in between 4 and like probably 10 for sure, maybe even 12. And I would have said, yeah, that sounds right.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like you've got Georgia and a lot of these, at 4 or 5, and it's like, Georgia, really?
Yeah.
Like you're telling me that all of a sudden Kirby doesn't know, or I mean, I know Trey, I know you got your take. Tell us what it is.
So Brian's already heard this, Eddie, but I don't know if you had a chance to sit there and speak with Gunnar Stockton. I got 5 minutes with him on the radio show. I was only able to go 3.5 because golly, I feel so bad about saying it this way, but this is more about me than it is Gunnar, people. I felt dumber having that conversation with him.
Really?
So best case scenario for Georgia football, Eddie, is that they have Forrest Gump playing quarterback for them. Worst case scenario, the guy is in way over his head, and there's going to be some serious issues in Athens this year, especially if that defense isn't as elite as it normally is, because the offense is going to be terrible.
Interesting.
Well, so this is what I was going to say about Mateer and Manning, right? And this is something that, preseason you can't talk about it as much because they're not on the field yet. Taking care of the football, right? Not trying to do too much and playing to the strength of your team. Letting your defense get you more possessions and then better field position. Right. It's like that's what I felt like Jackson. Like when the wheels started to come off, we were trying to do way too much that we couldn't do. And we just continued to put our defense either out of the game entirely or in positions where you wear down. Like I'd have to look at the number of possessions that defense played last year. It was too many.
Well,
it was too. Yeah.
How many times can you put a team back out in just an awful spot and expect them to get a stop? And I think that like with all of Oklahoma's problems at the end of the day, too, on top of the injuries, on top of the kind of the incompetence and the having to play a bunch of true freshmen and guys that probably weren't ready to be out there. Well, you turned the ball over 30 times last year. In what world are you going to have a successful team when you turn the ball over that much? And especially it seemed like, and Brian, I know that you know this, but like with OU last year, they didn't just turn the ball over in bad spots. They turned it over and lose the game, catastrophic. Well, this is over now. I mean, the 3 fumbles at the beginning of the South Carolina game, I can't ever remember walking into the stadium. Game starts at 11. It's over by 11:15. Like truly over by 11:15. The Missouri game, you directly lose that game because of a turnover. Now, you won the game because you forced a turnover, or you put yourself into the lead because you forced a turnover. But at the same time, like the fundamentals from, just from a fundamental standpoint, it was awful. They had catastrophic turnovers a year ago. And, I mean, you obviously have to avoid that type of stuff. And that's one thing that Mateer's been pretty good about. So I think that it all kind of goes into confidence, too.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that Manning will be good about, too. Right. It's like the reality is that the reason that the name on the back of the jersey speaks to the brain. Sure. And the other thing, like Kyler in Lincoln's system or whatever, he's been with Sark in the film room for 2 years now. And so you've got to think that he's going to make the right decisions, even if the fans don't like the check down or the, whatever it may be, to play to the strength of the team. And it's about winning the football game.
Yeah, guys, and they're also going to be running an offense that's going to keep the defense guessing a little bit more this year. The ability to run RPO with Arch Manning, as good as his legs are, and also his ability to throw the deep ball, which is one of those areas that Quinn left a lot to be desired, is going to have this looking like a completely different offense from what people have come to expect over the last 3 seasons.
I'm so fired up.
I
I'm ready
know.
for football.
I just had the same feeling. I was like, gosh, can we play this Saturday? Can we go? I want to see this.
It always sneaks up on us. And, I guess like the one good thing for Oklahoma fans is I think usually in September, you've always felt like, just get me to October. Just get me. Talk about a third of the season. We only get this thing for 3-4 months a year, and it's the best time of the year. So it's going to be mighty interesting to see what Oklahoma can do this year, and kind of just the long-term effects of what this season's going to have over the next 3-4 months, not just for the program and the football side of things, but I think if you want to get big picture just with the athletic program as a whole, because I think anybody knows, and Brian, you know this, that when OU wins football games, all of a sudden things kind of all of a sudden take care of themselves, and money ends up not being that big of an issue around these parts.
You got to feed the monster, as Barry always said. You got to keep the monster happy. So let's keep it. Let's go do it. Let's go feed it some fresh meat.
All right, we end every Austin Supper Club, Eddie, with our local food, beverage, restaurant racks. Have you spent any time in Austin? And if so, do you have a restaurant or food rack here?
I have. I've gone down to a couple bachelor parties down in the Austin area. We haven't really ate too much food when we've been on these trips, though. So I don't think that I've really truly experienced the Austin, I guess, life, you could say. But I have had some buddies that live down there, and they obviously love it. Driving down to, I think it would have been Houston or San Antonio. It would have been San Antonio for the Alamo Bowl 2 years ago. I hadn't been down in that area in a long time. I almost got in a couple wrecks on 35 or 45, whatever highway that is.
35, yeah.
Yeah, just there's so much expansion, so many skyscrapers now in that area. It's crazy to drive by there and see.
Well, when you get down here for the next bachelor party, that's the other thing. Trey and I are both dads, so we don't get out as much. But you bachelors, this town is ready for you. We'll make sure you check out some new spots when you get down here. Trey, you said you checked out a new spot this week with the wife.
Yeah, I'm going to go before you this week, Brian. I'm going to have to piggyback on your suggestion from last week, the fish shop over on East 6th Street. Now, the deck was a little bit loaded because we went there on Monday, which was industry night. Talk about a fun environment that is serving up delicious seafood. It is brand spanking new, of course, as you said last week, but I highly, highly recommend that. You and I have got to get over there to do a show over at the fish shop, Brian. Great recommendation, and I'm piggybacking on your recommendation by recommending it myself this week, the fish shop. What about you?
Well, probably the best thing I had, we took the kids to the Zilker Hillside production of Bring It On. It's always a nice little evening sitting on the hillside watching some performances. You jump.
Cheerleader movie?
Yeah, it's a musical.
Wow.
Every movie's a musical. I'm waiting for the Happy Gilmore musical to come out. But you jump in the springs, you cool off, you come back. We had some style switch that we picked up, some barbecue, which was great. I also had a great fish sandwich. I had a fried fish sandwich at Garbo's this week that I hadn't tried before and was really, really good. So, barbecue and the new seafood spots in Austin are definitely emerging. So, should be a good fall. Style Switch is great for tailgates. They've got I think they call it the Texas Trinity, where you get 3 big, servings of you choose 3 meats and they come with all the sides. Kids love the mac and cheese. So, it's almost tailgate season. So a lot of people hit up Style Switch for some barbecue.
I'm officially starving.
Yeah, I know, right? We're going to Styles tonight. It's burger night on Thursdays, plus that cheesy tater tot casserole as well. Eddie, it's been a real pleasure getting to have you on the show today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for the time. Where can people find you?
Just Eddie Rado, Eddie_Rado on Twitter, and then SoonerScoop.com with the On3 Network. That's where we put all of our stuff. So
horns up for peace.
Yeah,
horns
absolutely.
up for peace.
Absolutely.
Let's put them up.
For the horns up of peace. Horns up for peace, excuse me. Great sense of humor and obviously really knows his stuff as well. Eddie, thank you so much for the time today, man.
You appreciate you bet. Appreciate it. Thanks.